All 19 co-defendants in the Georgia 2020 election indictment have turned themselves into the Fulton County jail. Former President Trump was the 12th person charged in the case to surrender Thursday night. CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion has the latest.
By noon Friday, the last of Trump's co-defendants turned themselves into the Fulton County jail, including former Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark, who's accused of drafting a false letter to Georgia officials about the 2020 election. The final two to surrender, Stephen Lee and Trevion Cuddy, an ex-publicist for rapper Kanye West. Both are accused of intimidating election worker Ruby Freeman. Thursday, former President Trump was escorted into the jail for processing, getting a mugshot and an inmate number. He was recorded at an eyebrow-raising 6'3" and 215 pounds with blonde or strawberry hair. The former president got help from a local bail bond company to post his $200,000 bond.
What has taken place here is a travesty of justice.
Trump's campaign started selling mugshot merchandise, and after being banned from Twitter following the January 6th attack, Trump returned to the platform, now known as X, for the first time with a fundraising appeal. President Biden, who tweeted out his own fundraising plea as Trump was being arrested, was asked about the mugshot.
I did see it on television.
What'd you think?
Handsome guy.
The former president and his 18 co-defendants could face arraignment early next month. District Attorney Fani Willis has proposed a new court date of October 23rd after defendant Kenneth Chesborough asked for a speedy trial. A judge granted the request for him, but Trump's legal team says it's opposed.
Any DA would like to try their case once and only once.
Gwen Keyes Fleming is a former Georgia County District Attorney.
They want to present their evidence once and only once. And as you start bifurcating the trial, then you're having witnesses come back multiple times. You are also giving a preview to the remaining defendants.
Another defendant, Sidney Powell, is also asking for a speedy trial. Meantime, former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows wants his case moved out of Fulton County to federal court. A hearing on his request is set for Monday. Catherine?
Nikole Killion, thanks for your comprehensive reporting this week from Georgia. CBS News legal contributor and Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson joins us now. Jessica, 4 co-defendants have asked to move this case to a federal court. Is there a legal precedent?
So there is some legal basis. I would say a lot of this is unprecedented, but essentially what they're going to have to do is convince a federal judge that they were acting within the course and scope of their federal employment, that they were acting as federal officers. And I think one of the big questions will be when a person like Mark Meadows, who certainly was employed by the federal government and certainly was the chief of staff at the time, when he sets up a phone call like he did, when he facilitates calls between the former president and officials in Georgia like he did, was he acting inside or outside, again, his official duties as a federal employee?
That takes us to our next question. The district attorney, Fani Willis, has subpoenaed the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, to testify Monday. So how does that legal question play out in the Meadows case?
So I think what we're going to be looking for when it comes to Brad Raffensperger is hearing about exactly what his interactions were with Mark Meadows, what Mark Meadows asked him to do, what else he was aware of in terms of the other people who are being asked to remove their case to federal court. And that is going to go to that legal question that we just asked, which is, can this conduct be considered to be within the official duties and responsibilities of a federal officer?
I want to drill down a little further on something called the 14th Amendment, Section 3, to summarize that if you participate in a rebellion, you cannot become a federal government officer, state or federal office. How does that play out in this case?
This is fascinating, and it's a separate question which basically asks us, even if the former president is not convicted and perhaps even imprisoned in Georgia, is there a reason that he could not serve as the president again? And the 14th Amendment, the third section that you mentioned, was enacted after the Civil War. It was meant to bar members of the Confederacy from serving in the government. And it mentions federal officers, which we just talked about before. So it does dovetail with this question of federal officers. But the question for the former president really is, one, is he considered to be a federal officer? And two, are we going to say, will somebody say he's ineligible for the ballot because he was either part of an insurrection or gave aid or comfort to those who did? Now, who could say that? It could be a Secretary of State. It could be a local election administration official. It could be a state judge. But the moment somebody says that, it is virtually all but certain that
Don't
that
say
case
it.
will be-
It goes to the Supreme Court. I mean, it feels like this is an election about litigation to the highest court at the end of the day.
So I think yes and no. I think that there are issues with respect to the two federal cases and the two state cases dealing with, of course, the indictment of the former president that will not make their way to the Supreme Court. But this separate question of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, that is begging for a Supreme Court resolution.
Jessica Levinson, thank you very much for your analysis.
Thank you.